Happy 2026 to everybody out there. As I woke up this morning and am having my coffee, I had some interesting thoughts and ideas that were streaming that got me to writing, and it took on a note format that would have taken forever to write into paragraphs and such. And so I want to talk about it in streams because it's not something that's fully baked or concluded, but something that could be an ongoing discussion about what has come to terms as the grand transit of the soul. As I've been sitting here contemplating, if you can imagine with me, everybody, if this is a soul journey in life, perhaps everybody's not going in the same direction. I often think about places like Earth and it's all over is grand central transit. Everybody's going this way and that way. The same way at an airport, we're going to all the different countries. Maybe everybody's coming and going from different star systems, parallel. I don't know. The souls are coming and going from various places. And I think some of the religious coding that comes to mind when we think of a soul going in two places is that here at this level of transit, you're either going up to heaven or down to hell, which is a one way to look at it. There are other new age mentalities of raising the vibration or lowering the vibration, so we can understand that sense of transit also. What I'm looking at is going a little bit further into what the intent of the soul is and all of the different options and where we're going up or down and this and that. Um, I try to encapsulate it as two things as neutrally as possible, although the nature of reality, if we look at the yin and the yang of everything, which is very much the male and the female of everything, the projective and receptive, the active and passive, all of these principles, the night and day, all of these things that are on a continuum, on a spectrum, all of that um, there's going to be a gender identification, and we just have to understand that it is in and out and all over the place. So just jump in as you feel it. Um, so the two different orientations I see is one side is representing in a polarity of male and female yin and yang. Imagine one direction coming in to ground and center and clear in a sense to really come home. And then another soul orientation that is really about um, blasting off, about getting higher, about advancing, all of these types of things. So it's indicative of um, the yin and the yang. It's indicative of the female and the male, the zero and the one in binary code. Um, and so thinking about a soul orientation that has an excess of experience, you've accumulated all of this somethingness, and now you're taking it to somewhere to release it. I see one soul path as I put it as like subtracting. If you have an excess, it's to take some of it away, to give it, to offer it. It's that aspect of giving it, of offering it. It's the gravity of relaxing, of softening and embodying and soaking in. So this one soul path that has that orientation and intent that the soul is here to release and share in some way that is working to release what is karmically stored up through greater immersion. The soul is here, is coming in to get more involved in the process of involution. Um, so that itself is more embodied with the virtue of shedding that which is too much. If you, it's like if you go around and you accumulate all of this experience and it gets on you and it's crushed and then you're full and you're big and you're bloated and you've got all of this like big soul. It's like it's somewhere to release it, to unload it, in a way that nurtures and feeds what is lacking and neglecting along one's path. So the karma of that soul in the incarnation, grounding, gravity, um, releasing, relaxing orientation is also about using the excess. And this also sounds like the south node of astrology in a respect, but it's releasing that which has been accumulated in a way that nurtures and feeds like a sustenance from the substance that's been accumulated, that which has been learned and accumulated along the path. It doesn't have to be a negative unloading. But it's a way that we, with all, both orientations, both spiritual soul pathways would have um, a positive thing. So it's this sense of that which is too much is becoming less, and in a way that nurtures and feeds. Um, this particular soul orientation would favor the earth or the planet that you're on, the home. It's more about embodiment. It's coming home. It's grounding. It's releasing. It's being one with that. It's melting into that harmonic synchronization that's grounded below. Um, it's about incarnation more. I mean that with it's like the center of that which holds and contains the self. It's incarnating in with that more. It's about centering. It's about like coming home to oneself. All these metaphors I keep repeating because the keywords have a they strike. Um, so it's the holding and the containing of the self. We're getting more real with ourself and shedding and letting go and releasing and utilizing to feed others with all of that has been accumulated and grown and compacted from previous soul experiences that we've picked up along the way, etc. Um, all of the karmas of others, other people, other places, other beings, other ideas that are not us that we've gotten, that have accumulated are released. This is a soul path that releases, in a sense, as the gravity of karma to enjoy and stay on the planet, to ground and anchor and embody into with the planet is that which is saturating. So that is a soul path of involution. If I'm to boil it down, I've tried to articulate it through a lot of different metaphors, but it's the pathway of, like, it's like it's the rain cycle, the way that things evaporate up and then it rains back down. One form of soul orientation and direction is the raining back down, is the this centering, grounding, releasing into that home planet environment to come home. Um, it does, in a lot of respects, remind me of the yin and the feminine. So I primarily kind of think of that. And this, ones and zeros, this is representative of the zero, which is the emptying. It is the no thing, and it is the clearing. And so it is that process of clearing and relaxing and softening into all of that metaphor. Let's look at the other one. This other path, if the first one was about subtracting and clearing the excess, this other path is about adding up, accumulating, ascending, blasting off, striving, climbing, and aiming to go somewhere, get somewhere. All of those things are, I see, represented by the one plus one plus one, the accumulative path of projection, of ascent, of all of these principles that have quite a masculine blast off connotation. Right? Where are we blasting off to on this path? These are the souls that are working to acquire. The last one is one that is looking to release. This one is looking to acquire what is karmically deficient, which you don't have enough of, through greater reach, to progressed levels of evolution. There's something about evolution on this path, a soul path of evolution compared to a soul path of involution. And again, it's not right or wrong, good or bad, this or that. It's just left and right. Um, I think it's funny too when I think about involution, involve, going in, the evolution, expression, reaching out, radiating out, all of these things have that projective quality. And it's funny if I capitalize the E and I think about evolution. Um, Technology is also metaphoric in this path, in the sense that it is representative of technique and any of the tools that we figure out to get ahead. So it's all of those respects of how we tinker and build. We add knowledge and keep adding up in this respect. Where embodiment in this soul path is done by the virtue of learning and taking on whatever has not been enough, not enough for advancement to reach some other location or state. This is a soul path of trying to get to heaven, trying to get somewhere, trying to get ahead. This is the soul path of advancing, it's learning, and so it's acquiring and taking on from all of those different sources, all those things outside of us, all those things that are um that we can pull in some way. Uh, So foreign concepts, so like foreign ideas, foreign like techniques, anything that is foreign, resources that we find, whether it's, base materials, these are thoughts. I'm trying to be very general in these descriptions because resources can mean a lot, but what we find is used to develop tools, and all of these things are fuel. If in the last process we're coming in with this overabundance that we're then feeding with, we feed through the sustenance that we're releasing. This is one where we're acquiring tools and techniques and additional resources as fuel to blast off. This is the idea. I've learned this technique and I've mastered it so that I can ascend up. Or I have this car and now I can go further. It's all of these things of acquiring, putting together, tooling, and techniquing a progress, advancement, an oomph, an active to get somewhere where this other path is more about releasing, soaking in, et cetera, et cetera. Um, This is the essence of transportation, navigation from one point to another. The thing that I feel like is a can be a little tricky and trapped in this perspective because this yang mentality is a lot of the religious stuff of getting ahead. It is a lot of the masculine hierarchy's approach to how we do things and the goal orientation. Um, it's really there's a song that says it's not progress, it's just movement. And this is the impetus of movement. This pathway is where we decide to go from one place or one state or one way of being to another. And often there's this like elevation. I'm getting up, I'm getting ahead, I'm progressing, promoting, graduating. But if you think about it, the up is not necessarily better, it's just different. It's navigating. It's the same way if I need to get from here to here, there might be a lot of up and down and sideways turns to do that, but I have to continually blast off or propel myself from one point to another, from one planet to another, if I'm going to bounce around the solar system. So the idea of a soul that is striving to ascend, graduate, blast off, evolve, leave the state that they're in and go to another. That is this class. So we have souls coming in to really soak in, to embody the experience. And we have souls that are coming in to really go off, to get stuff to blast off to other places. Um, this favors the sky. If the other orientation is favoring the planet or soaking in with the environment, this is an orientation that favors the sky out there, going somewhere else, and destinations. It's the sense of destiny, destination. Where do you want to go? There's somewhere else, somewhere out there, somewhere other, in this soul orientation. Um, and that's what creates the urge to elevate, raise, or change one's level in some way, from whatever it is or has been to something else. It's about excarnation. This is the path that is going to sound in religious coding a lot like, moving on to a better place, going to heaven, raising the frequency, ascending. There's somewhere better to get to. And this is the soul side of things that wants to teach how to get there, to go there. It's striving to get out of here and get to there. The other soul in orientation is looking to come into here more, deeper, all fuller. It's like it's getting cozy at home versus, hey, what can we figure out to get to somewhere cooler? Okay, so there's two different soul orientations that are transiting in these two directions that we can again see like rain down. I want to stay and saturate the earth, and then things evaporate and they go up. They go somewhere else. Um, the gravity down, and then the processes to take things back up. Um, It is, yes, the urge to leave, escape, break free from whatever is containing. Instead of centering and merging with the container, this is the approach of transcending the container. And it involves the karmas of others, instead of releasing them and all the stuff that we've accumulated, it's really utilizing them. It's like bridging, like other beings, other places, other ideas are all the tools and the techniques that create the technology we use to advance ourselves. And so all of these other karmas are incorporated. We're incorporating that which is around to get somewhere else, where the other experience is one that is saturated already with a lot of stuff that has grown from the other involvement that we're then letting go. We're releasing that in the first orientation. Um, this one again, the blast off, there's a drive to reach up and out and beyond wherever one is. Right. So I've kind of tried to describe, the zero and the one. So thinking about them, if these are two basic soul orientations. If we think about the water cycle, it's either raining or evaporating. Um, in a grand transit, both are happening simultaneously. There are some souls going one place, some souls going another, and we can even get beyond the binary into the multiplicity. Like, there's multiple planets, there's multiple states, there's multiple cities, there's people going everywhere on their soul journey in this soul path. We've got to remember there's not a good or bad to the up or down or left or right of it all. And so there's just an infinite array of unique soul orientations. Imagine some souls that come into incarnation, they come into life to stay and ground more that orientation. Um, but they have such a resume for the other path. They've done all of this ascension stuff and like high ideas and what else is out there and exploration. They've explored a lot, but they've come in primarily in this lifetime to ground and center more. They may have a knack for teaching others how to evolve, how to ascend, how to do all the exploration, even though they're really here to relax and ground in. Flip it around, you may have other souls that have come in so that they can evolve higher, so that they can figure out how to get to new places, so that they can explore. Um, but they have such a resume in the other of really grounding and centering and being at one and content and appreciating that which is the abundance of what they have, the gravity and attraction of the planet and the home, all of that, so that they can teach others how to center in and all of that involve that embodiment. They can really teach that while they're still working on getting to their next destination. So you can have somebody working in their lifetime in their body incarnation vessel um, along one path that has quite a resume for the other path. Okay, so this would be quite unusual, we could say, from just what you traditionally think. So we have some souls that come to work in one direction, focus. We also have, let me back up. So I described two dynamics where you have a soul working like to ground and center, but they are very versed at evolving and blasting off and teaching others how to do that. And then the other flip script of someone that is coming to advance their navigation and exploration, but very good at grounding and centering and teaching that. You're also going to have the more basic combinations of somebody that comes into work in one direction, here to ground and center, and just really get involved with an incarnate life and see how 3D works. And that's where they're going to stay. You're going to have other incarnations that, hey, I'm here and I think there's something else out there and I want to know what it is and I want to explore and I want to expand. And they're going to focus primarily on that being the right answer. You're going to have that. The ones that are helping out, they come in one direction, but they're helping out in the other direction. That might seem a little bit more queer or unusual. And I use that word queer and unusual to um, take us into the gender and sexuality of it all while realizing that those elements of life from where I see are very much just indicative of spiritual orientations. And if we can look at a yin and a yang and a this or that, the two spirit and queer orientations that happen in sexual ways, I think we see across a wider spectrum of life that we are all yinning and yanging in different respects with our soul. So that idea that, hey, I might be primarily here to ground, or I might be here primarily to ascend, explore, blast off, um, those might be where I'm at, but I'm aware that I do a fair amount of both. And hopefully, while I've been describing this, you might have been thinking, like, hey, yeah, at different points in my life, I really need to ground and center and just appreciate what's around me. And at other times in my life, I really just want to go out there and explore something I've never seen and go somewhere and learn something I've never known how to do. We have both of those impetuses within us at different times. So if you can imagine cycles within cycles and um, all of that happening, we've got a lot of us are pretty advanced souls, which means we are working with some of it. In some regards in our life, there's some parts of us that need to clear and release and ground and center, and other parts of us that are not developed that we need to build up and work out so that we can advance. So we have both of those going on more realistically uh, than just a one thing at a time. So there's a fair amount of toggling between the two approaches over a lifetime. Um, Although, again, I think that the same way you're either, you flip the coin and it's this or it's that, um, it's either day or it's night. And there are those cuspy times of twilight and midnight. But it is in the yin and the yang of things where you stop the dial. Everything is either, it's like kind of being a little bit pregnant. You either are or you aren't. And there's that moment right before. But which is it? And in that, there is a primary orientation to the soul that came in with a certain intent to do in this lifetime, among all the other sub navigations within that. That's the chief fit for the experience and the experiment of this lifetime. So even if one's working back and forth to manage different accounts and navigating the ways in which we're releasing and letting go and then adding and advancing, um, there uh, it might be taking place with a lot of changing in direction if you look at a wider scope of time. So depending on how narrow your lens of time is, you may see a lot of that back and forth toggling. This is also another way to look at it is like the moon. The moon makes a great metaphor of waxing and waning. In one lifetime, we're really working to embody ourselves and just soak into things. And in another lifetime, we're really working to express and explore and to reach out and get further ahead. And there's a cuspy time that I've done so much of this one right before I'm about to start the other. And then I do so much of it that I advance right before I go back and re-explore the other. So the waxing and the waning period we can think about as these two polarities or these two soul intents. While a soul is waxing, they are adding more and more to their repertoire so that they can get ahead or advance and level up, etc. Whereas when a soul is waning, there may be more of a sense of releasing that which it has had and nourishing through it. Um, so those two, the give and takes of life have those cusp points where there is a turnaround in the are we getting bigger or are we getting smaller process. Um, and I think that we are collectively right around the river bend from such a cusp point, which is why things are so fluid, nebulous, back and forth, all over the place in this grand transit of the soul. So in general, imagine that at a calmer time where things are more structured and less in that fluxy point between where something's going to change. Um, the things have a structured standard for the transport going in this direction or that direction. Are you on this side or are you riding that wave? Or and again, wheels within wheels. Um, so it might have been more set at a certain point, whereas the more that we have accumulated and gone around, there is more complexity, there's more intricacy with that over the ensouled lifetimes, the more lifetimes there have been. So there become more of those micro fluctuations needed that express way more fluidly with a lot of back and forth switching, nebulous, androgyny, confusion, all of that. With souls coming in on this cusp, easily being tilted. If I came in right between a waxing and a waning in my soul direction, or like I'm really here to finish this right before I start something else, if I can taste that which is coming up, or on the other respect, that it can taste that which is about to show up, or that which has been, um, then it's easy to blur the intent. Like if I had an intent that, hey, I'm really gonna, do this, as a primary thing, and this is the other thing, it can become confusing for the soul. Am I here to stay or am I here to go? Am I here to get deeper in it or am I here to extricate myself out of it? And so there is a little bit of which way do we go, George, to the whole situation. But that's so funny. Um, so it blurs the intent between the incarnation and which directions are most needed, where and why and when. And I think that in this pocket of time where there is so much new choice and new information and this dawning, it's like a dawn, just like dawn and dusk, like that twilight, again, this twilighty period. Um, I could see a lot of efforts to scramble the souls and kind of keep them off their toes of even realizing that they have a soul and just get people fixated in the wrong directions. But there is this soupy back and forth, in and out of what our souls are doing. We're working on a lot of multidimensional levels now, and things are very transient, um, and in between all of that. So that's very much in this mix. Right before a chance and a point where we really strongly, fiercely orientate ourselves in a new, strong direction. It's like this moment of like, nebulous, could go this way, that way. And it's really indicative of like the ending of a Pisces era into this Aquarian era, although we're not splitting hairs over about when and where and why that starts or didn't or is or isn't, and all of that. But it's that metaphor of this deception, confusing, nebulous, transient Pisces time period, um, blasting off into the more yang, unique experiment of this Aquarian age that's in that mix. Um, so there's a lot of differences that are coming in and out, um, with people about, I think we're seeing it in gender, in sexuality, in all of those planes on the physical 3D and all of um, the uptick in trans everything, transient, transsex, all of that is part of that fluidity. And even the asexuality, that is also in this Pisces place, where all of these different yin and yang balances are shifting, and it is nebulous and confusing to that orientation in some way. But behind it all, I think there is an outer, um encultured something to fixate on the sexual aspect of it when it's really the soul, the psyche within that is the real contemplation to be had. And so I'm hoping that this has been something for somebody that helps you to think about and will help you to explore the idea of soul orientation with involution and evolution, and how, to think of a quest within yourself. Which one makes sense for you? And when do you do which and where and why and how and when are you letting go of that which is too much and soaking in to this home and comfort and all of those metaphors versus the where are you excited to get ahead, to level up, to advance, to and you can see in the different religious cultures and attitudes, the idea of we want to get somewhere else is very much the spiritual get to heaven thing. I do think the feminine path of the planet and nature has been demonized a lot, and kind of equated to, out there in nature is, a horned goat and it's scary and it's dark and all of those metaphors to keep us from realizing that the gravity of love, if you will, to quote from that song, the gravity of love that you soak into and relax and it holds you. To be held in that kind of love is a different, opposite, but equal type of love to this exploration, this, excitement to quest in, the unknown. Um, they're both working together. And to tie it together, if we think about these two different soul orientations that I've been describing, um, I think that the magic in life and what we have is the love and the relationships that we love is classic. It's classic. It's when one meets the other, the one and the other that create the life, is the idea of someone that is coming in with this orientation and someone that is coming in with this orientation, meeting and harmonizing and working together so that it unifies and harmonizes and synchronizes. And that's the magic between the complementary unification of those polarities instead of making them fight and all of the things that religion has done and gender wars have done and all of the othering of the other side as opposition has done. So considering how there is more to be created in those intimate marriages of opposites, and there's two primary orientations of one consciousness. Those are going to express themselves in then a variety and an infinitude of ways the numbers progress out of that pocket of zero from one to two to three to four to five. So there's a lot of abundance in life that can explore the orientations, and so our soul is constantly in some form of transience and transit, going from one state to another, with periods that we're also kind of staying home and storing and getting comfortable and resting before you take your next trip. So really, the soul journey of life is real. It's really like take some time and sit at home and recuperate and really know who you are, and then go somewhere else and explore over there. And it's not so finite, fixed, permanent, etc. I think there is a lot of flux in life if we look at the continuum. So I hope all of this rambling has been somewhat enjoyable to maybe just listen to and think about of, again, soul orientation and which direction the soul is trying to get to. Are you trying to settle in or head out? And both of them can be happening in various combinations. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. And if you got anything to say, I think there'll be some comments below that you can drop something. So take care, everybody.